Guys, going straight back into the video. Today's video is what if Staci won Total Drama Island. Revenge of the Island, so let's begin. So how can you make Staci a winner in Total Drama Revenge of the Island? And I think to make this simple, Staci would help in the challenge and she would not annoy her team. So what I am saying is Staci does not do or say anything to annoy the rest of her team to the point that gets it voted off. So I think the rats would still lose the challenge, and because it's Dakota gets voted off being the most useless member on her team. Episode 2, Scott would want to keep Staci around because he would see it easy to manipulate. Because Staci is the opposite of B, who's really smart. Then Scott would still throw the challenge for about 15 seconds, and I think here that the rat maggots would still win the challenge. Scott would want to keep Sam and Dawn, Sam and Lightning, and he does his B play here, so he ends up getting B eliminated. Episode 3. This is the Ice Baby. So Scott would go, Staci. Dawn would do the same strategy that B did in the original. Now the rats would originally win the challenge, but then Scott sabotages B's mirror. So I think without B being around, I don't think anyone would do that strategy. So I think the rats are winning this challenge. And the maggots are going to elimination. So Brooke respects Joe at this point in the season, and Mike and Zoe are together. Now Mike and Zoe and Maria haven't got the same rivalry because it's the episode where Mike becomes Vito and she is attracted to him, but nothing's happened. So I think Maria votes for Joe. Joe votes for Maria. Cameron would realise, even though Joe's very bossy, they need her for challenges at this point. But they realise they actually have Britt for that, so he votes for Joe. It's 1 on Joe. Maria votes for Joe. It's 2 on Joe. Brick and Joe decide to vote for Maria. That's 2 on Maria. 2 on Joe. So Mike and Zoe would vote for Joe. So I think Joe's eliminated here. Episode 4. Scavenger hunt. Dawn gets captured. Staci's trying to help her team. Lightning gets caught in the tree. Maria and Mike are still making out the episode. Zoe gets caught. Brick would go back to save Zoe, and there would be nobody to give out about it, so they would just let him. And Cameron's by himself. And Joe was the one the original to taught Brick to go back and win the challenge. So I do think the maggots would win. Because he only lost because Joe told him to. So because Scott, Sam, and Staci would be together, I think the rats would win the challenge. And I think Zoe, Mike, and Cameron have majority. Zoe votes for Maria. Brick probably also votes for Maria. Brick and Maria vote for Cameron. Mike also votes for Maria. It looks like Maria's going home, but this is the episode where the loser switches teams. Episode 5, and Brick wouldn't volunteer himself as tribute because he originally did that as he broke his code of honor, but that wouldn't happen here. Episode 5. This is the shooting challenge. So Lightning goes in the suit, and Brick, Mike pumps, and Scott pumps. Now, without Maria and Mike are on different teams, so they wouldn't get distracted making out with each other. So the maggots win the challenge. Scott would shoot, Lightning drives, Brick would drive, and Zoe would shoot. Scott still throws the challenge. Dawn calls him out. Scott sabotages Dawn. Dawn gets eliminated. Episode 6 rolls around. This is where we have Runaway Model. And Maria wouldn't do the makeup strategy because that was her idea on Joe. Brick would still do his fashion show and they would dress up the maggot. And I think Zoe, Mike, and Cameron would get to the top. And Brick, because Sam was off in this challenge, the original. Staci wouldn't do that well here. And Maria probably would have tracked the Yeti. And the rats lose. And the rats are going to elimination. And Scott, Lightning, Staci, and Amory vote for Sam because his brain's gone to mush. So Scott and Brick swap teams as they did in the original. As Joe's not here, Brick would welcome to resolve this tribute. Episode 7 rolls around. This is where we have the Minus Terrible Thing. Mike would still activate Manitoba. and Maria would still go missing. Staci would travel with Lightning and Brick and would talk about how she is an expert at these things, but would not annoy the rest of her team. Lightning would get along with Staci pretty well. I feel like they would get along, so they'd be friends. I feel like they're friends. And Maria still has the diamond, and I think Scott would still throw the challenge. Brick would still turn around to save Mike, Zoe, and Cameron. The Rats lose. Here's the thing though, Lightning and Brick wouldn't be nearly as willing because he was convinced by Joe in the original. And Brick is pretty strong for challenges, so Lightning would see him as a rival. So Lightning would vote for Brick. Maria votes for Brick, and Staci probably votes for Brick. However, Maria quits this time. That's because her and Brick are on the same team. This isn't a double elimination. Episode 8. This is the Raft Challenge. Scott still sabotaging his own team. Staci, Brick, and Lightning come together. They win the first part of the challenge. They're in the Meg's dig in the wrong direction. Cameron still actually tells Scott about Mike's personalities. Everyone votes for Scott, but Scott votes for Cameron because he wants to gain Zoe's trust and keep Mike around but gain her trust a lot more. And we are at the merge. So, and obviously Dakota won't come back as a player because they have the right amount of people. So, Staci and Brick replace Joe and Cameron. So, Staci gets the plane and Brick gets what Cameron got the original. Grand Theft Auto. Scott still blackmail Mike for the full episode. Brick and Lightning make an alliance. Brick and Lightning make an alliance in this episode. Staci, she would do all for here. Scott still blackmails Mike for the entire episode. He wants to tell Zoe, and because Scott can't blackmail Mike for something he's not keeping a secret, he gets rid of Mike. Episode 10 rolls around as this. Episode 10 rolls around and Staci just replaces Joe and she makes the hot air balloon. Brick wouldn't sabotage Staci because obviously Staci wouldn't sabotage Brick because she isn't mean to Cameron. Lightning and Brick are friends because Brick wouldn't sabotage Lightning in their alliance. And I think because Brick's an honorable person, we know he wouldn't do that. Zoe would still sabotage Scott. Lightning wins immunity because he's the closest person here, and Staci, I don't see Brick winning the challenge. And I think Scott's able to convince Lightning to vote for Zoe. And Zoe votes for Scott. Lightning and Scott vote for Zoe. And Brick doesn't want to vote for Zoe, so he votes for Scott. And Staci votes for Scott. But Scott still has the immunity idol at this point. So who does Scott decide to eliminate? So these three vote for Scott. He's able to convince Lightning, but he's not able to convince the other three. So I think Scott would vote for Zoe here, as she's obviously a massive threat. And Scott would think going forward. Scott votes for Brick here, as Brick is obviously the biggest threat. Who has won the most challenges? He's the biggest threat who doesn't have immunity. Lightning's immune, that aside. Brick gets eliminated because he's the massive threat going forward. And I think Brick actually gets eliminated. Okay, so Scott will get Lightning over Zoe because she sabotaged him in today's challenge. I think Scott wouldn't have that. This is payback. Episode 11 rolls around. This is where we have the You Can Be Worried challenge. Scott would still sabotage everyone else and win the challenge. The race, Staci's definitely not winning that race. So between Brick, Lightning, and Scott still gets sabotaged. So between Brick and Lightning, it's close, but Brick literally is able to keep up with Joe. So I do think Lightning would likely win this challenge because he's a powerhouse. So Lightning Brick still have their alliance, and they decide to vote for Scott. Staci also votes for Scott because they would see Staci as an easy opponent to beat in the finale. So Scott can't save himself here, so I think he does get eliminated. Episode 12 is Keep Me Worry. Brick and Lightning would obviously be power during together, and Staci would have the map. I think Lightning is friends with Staci, though. And between the two, Brick and Lightning, Staci would get attacked by the fire plant. So I think Brick would go back to save her because he sees a normal person. And Lightning would go up by himself, and at this point would be a one-man army because even though Lightning he's Lightning, I think between these three, the winner would be Staci, Brick, and Lightning. I think the winner would obviously be Lightning. He's much faster, he's more athletic, he's a lot faster than Brick. So Lightning wins immunity. So episode 12 is the race. So I do think Lightning would win the challenge. And I think Lightning would take Staci to the end because even though he never broke his alliance with Brick here, he's annoyed at her. Lightning would obviously want a weaker opponent, and facing Brick would not be a good idea. I think Brick would feel betrayed, and also we do see that Lightning would get on with Staci throughout the season. And we do see that Lightning would be in this timeline a lot more of a decent person because Cameron never betrayed him. And with Joe, he did support Joe being gay. And I'm not telling you that scene because it's funnier to leave you guys in the dark. He did support Joe when he thought she was gay. So Lightning at this point is still a decent person. So Lightning would obviously choose Staci because they're on the same team together, so they would have had a bigger connection. I think even though it wouldn't be a Brick and Lightning, I think it would be cool to have a Brick and Lightning finale. This is how Staci could win the season. So Staci and Lightning are the winners. They have to change around 3 seconds. Staci manages to beat Lightning with the help of Cameron. Staci makes some armor suit. I'm sure if Cameron could pull off the same thing, Staci could as well. Staci wins, even though logically Lightning would likely win the season. It's her video, so I have to give the win to Staci. That's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. This is the mission I think he's going to be on. If Staci won Revenge of the Hound, so Joe would have been a pretty early boot. That's pretty cool. And yeah. Peace farewell.